Maybe you have an idea to improve your life and the lives of other Minnesotans. Maybe your idea is to solve a problem you've experienced or fill a need you've seen. Maybe you've said to yourself, there ought to be a law.
I would like to see more money put to transportation funding.
Although we hear a lot of reports about veterans having a much better chance of having a job now, I think there's a lot more that should and can be done.
A group of students from Concordia University in St. Paul have some ideas they'd like to see become law too, and they want to work with the Minnesota Legislature to make that happen. With the help of their political science instructor, Jayne Jones, the students are working to get 6 ideas drafted into bills and passed into law during the 2014 legislative session.
We believe that we're only one of a very slim number of colleges that do student projects like this across the nation.
The students are lobbying lawmakers for their support on legislation that includes barring public colleges from requiring access to students' personal login information to their social media accounts, expanding dental care access, and closing a loophole that gives legislators immunity from most arrests when the legislature is in session, including driving while under the influence. You might now be wondering how these students can work to get their ideas turned into bills, and better yet, how you can too. Well, you've come to the right place. We're on the steps of the state capitol in St. Paul, and in the next few minutes, you'll learn how your idea can go from just a concept to an actual bill with the possibility of becoming state law. You'll also get valuable insight from the Concordia students trying to shape state government and hear from a representative with close to 3 decades of experience working to help craft ideas into law. So let's get started. This is the Minnesota House Chamber, where representatives work to pass bills to improve the lives of their constituents in Minnesota. But before a bill becomes a bill, it first starts as an idea to make something better. Ideas don't just come from legislators, lobbyists, and organizations. They can come from everyday citizens. The idea can be a totally new concept, a way to enhance an existing law, or a means to do away with an existing law. Once you have your idea to make something better, your first step is to put it on paper. Gene Pulowski, Jr., a representative for more than 27 years, recommends emailing the well-thought-out idea to the legislator that represents the district you live in and ask him or her to sponsor your idea. You need a legislator to sponsor your idea, otherwise your idea can't become a bill and move through the legislative process. You can email your representative, senator, or both.
The way we get most of our communication now is by email. Doesn't have to be, but I answer all my own emails, so you don't get a generic, thanks for contacting my office, I'll get back to you later.
By going to www.house.mn, you can search for current House members and get their contact information, including email and phone number. www.senate.mn will help you find your senator's information. If the legislator that represents you doesn't want to sponsor your idea, try another legislator. There are 134 representatives and 67 senators that you can contact. Your idea on paper doesn't have to be in bill language or legal jargon. Your sponsor will make sure it gets drafted as proposed legislation and assigned a bill number.
Only a member can draft legislation.
Although the bill drafting is left up to the sponsor, Representative Pulowski says the times he has been a bill sponsor, he has worked closely with the idea person to make sure the bill is what he or she intended.
I will call them in, and we'll keep going over this. And I'll say, all right, we need to know that this resolves your problem. And you need to know who we're working with here, because it isn't just going to be me. It's going to be the House, Senate, and Governor's office, and it's likely to be state agencies that are involved in whatever it is you want to.
Concordia University students expect a close working relationship too.
My guess is that we would be in constant communication with the person that's sponsoring our bill. They'd be able to give us the feedback with regards to what's going on here, and then we'd be able to make the changes and improvements needed to pass our bill.
Once you get a main sponsor of your bill, you'll want to solicit support from other legislators and get them to sign on as co-sponsors. You can contact other representatives and senators through email or by phone, but consider making a face-to-face visit.
We do operate better when we put a face to things.
Senators have offices in the Capitol or the state office building across the street, while all House members are in the state office building.
Take it from the Concordia University students, make sure you have a good pair of walking shoes or boots, depending on the weather.
We're just going to put our tennis shoes on and start going from door to door, each of us taking a big stack of our packets and letting all the legislators know what's going on.
Don't forget to get members of the public or from an organization that has an invested interest to support your bill. Let's review the steps in turning your idea into a bill. Write a detailed description of your idea. Contact your legislator. Get a legislator to sponsor your idea. Have your sponsor get your idea written into a bill, and get other legislators and members of the public to support your bill. These steps are just guidelines and may not work best for all ideas. Your idea may now be a bill, but it still has a long ways to go through the legislative process before becoming a law, if it indeed has that potential. You may even be asked to testify on your bill during a committee meeting as part of the legislative process. Bring your supporters to the meeting and be prepared to answer questions from both sides of the issue. As these Concordia students and you are learning, the journey from idea to bill isn't easy, but worth your time and effort.
There is legislation protecting the employees in the workplace. Also, there's protection for students in 11 other states, and I'd like to make Minnesota the next.
Will the next great idea to improve the lives of Minnesotans be yours?